Hello, hi everyone. Welcome to the another video. Sorry, I was not well during these 7 to 8 days. That's why I was unable to push any video. So here I have got one Publicis Sapient interview question for software testing for Bangalore region of 2023. So this is these questions are given by someone else, or I was going through one of the websites, so I found those questions. So what I was thinking when I was preparing for interview, then there was no website which contains all the interview questions, so that I can go to that one particular website or one particular YouTube channel and verify what all interview question being asked or usually ask right now or in these days for automation testing. So that is why I am putting all those things at one place, so that anyone who is preparing for software testing, manual interview or automation interview, so they can get a sense of like what all interview question are being asked in the by asking by the companies or currently in market. So let's start with the table of content. So we have three sections: Java, Selenium, TestNG. Some questions are based on Java, and some on Selenium, and some on TestNG. So let's start with the questions. So as you can see in my previous video, so many of the questions are repeated. Why this is? Because if you if you prepare 100 interview question, definitely you are able to clear a lot of interviews. I have seen people are saying that buy this course and buy that course, but the important thing apart from buying a course is to practice. I have seen guys who has attended the automation training from different institute, and still they are unaware of the automation things, like what is the variables in Java, how to program. I have seen there are people who are spreading false informations in the industry just to buy their codes. And if you they are saying if you're a non IT guy and if you buy my codes you will be ready for the job, but this is not the case. The important thing is within you. You have to prepare well. You should know like what is the constructor. If I talk about this question, what is the constructor and overriding, is possible or not? So if you do not know the constructor, then how can you answer it? So that is why practice is more important. This is, programming is something like mathematics. If you will not practice, you will forget. Even a very good candidate who will not practice, definitely will forget the syntax and each and everything. This is the same case. If suppose if I start using Python, and I will start forgetting a few things in Java because I'm not practicing them. Okay, so guys, please practice these all things, because only practice make you perfect, and you will able to achieve or clear any interview. So right now, what is constructor and overriding? So what is constructor, and is overriding is possible or not? Next is compile time polymorphism and runtime polymorphism. So this is a part of your OOPS concept, like types of polymorphism, runtime and compile time. So next is possible to override a static member or static method. What is the significance of this and super keyword? Super used to refer the superclass constructor, and this is used for current class constructor. or this would be the first line of your constructor. So I mean there are a lot of things, but you start, I mean, I would suggest you guys, if you know like what is the constructor, if you know that, start writing the code for the same. Maybe it will take 1 or 2 days to understand this concept properly, but once you understand it, you will understand these all things in single go. Next is, what is collection? Difference between list and set. What is the exception in Java? How you have used, what are exception you have faced while doing automation? So these all are the questions. What is checked and unchecked exceptions? Significance of static keyword, important, and usually I have seen a lot of interviewer used to ask this question. They will ask around the possibilities of question of static. What if, I mean something like, what if I mean can we create a object of static method, I mean if my method is static, can I call this method by creating the class of that object? So something like that. But if you have practiced well, if you know how to use static, keyword, block, variable, then you can easily answer that. Because I mean in interviews you can see like some questions are repeated, but I mean there are interviewer who used to ask question, who used to create their question on their own. You will never find those question in any website or anywhere. So next is different way of declaring a string. Like a string, I mean you can directly assign a variable to that, or you can use a new keyword. And and moreover they can ask you the difference between that, like directly assigning some variable into to a string, or creating a variable like a string str equal to new string, and bracket, within the bracket I can pass the testing class or any variable. Next is, what are the different types of exception? What is tail element exception? And if you can able to answer the tail element exception, then next question would be how to handle that. Have you faced that? How, or have you I mean what have you done to fix this? Next section belongs to the Selenium. Difference between WebDriver and web element. How to get current URL, very basic. How to store URL of multiple tabs in a browser. What are different locators in Selenium? You know guys, I have created a video how to create effective XPath or something. So I mean there you can find all those things. Difference between absolute and relative XPath, again very basic. How to handle drop down. If I have to import data from Excel, I have to import the data from Excel sheet. What should I use? What is synchronization? So this is the new question. So what is synchronization? So synchronization is something like if you have created a method, and that method used to, or you have this file, and some method used to update that file, or some method used to edit that file, or two method used to update the same file. So that is the race condition or deadlock condition. You guys must have I mean read in your college time, like the deadlock condition. One resource should able to access the thing once it release that resource, something like that, released by another one. What is the POM? Next is, what is, what are different, next section belongs to TestNG. What are different annotations in TestNG? How to give sequence of execution as TestNG? Important. Sometimes people used to ask, can I give negative priority in my test case? What if I am not going to give priority in my test class? How will my test case execute? How to skip test case from execution? Obviously, enable equal to file is the attributes that is available in at the rate test. How to execute test case multiple times? So sometimes you need to execute the test case. Suppose you have a class and which contains 5 test case, and somebody asks you to, can you execute your test case 10 times? Then obviously TestNG has a keyword invocation count that you can use within the at the rate test and provide the number of time you want to execute. But I will have a question for you guys. But what if I want to execute my class 10 times? What should I use? Listen to this question again. To execute my test case, I can use invocation count. But what should I use to execute my test class 10 times or n number of times? So this is the question for you guys. Next is how to re-execute failed test case using automation. So TestNG used to create when you execute your test cases using TestNG.xml. Then TestNG used to create a TestNG fail.xml that used to contain all the failed test cases. You can use that XML file to execute your failed test case. But keep that in mind, if one test case is dependent on other, then both the test case will be executed at the time when you use failed one to execute. So this is about TestNG related question. Next is framework related. Maybe you can see this question will be asked at the very start of the interview, like which frameworks you are using, something like that. So the question is, explain your framework, be specific about your framework. Maybe you can write all those things like these are the component of my framework, and you can start mugging those up, like so you can better explain. But before mugging them up, you need to understand your framework, then you can, I mean, explain them uh, in a good way. Next is, where do all jar file will be saved? So here, all jar file, so it mean to say there are two types of framework, I mean two types of building mechanism that we use. I mean, first is like we used to create a normal Java project. So if I am creating a normal Java project, then obviously I have to import the jars. But if I am using Maven, then I will be providing dependencies in pom.xml. So once my project gets load, all those dependency started downloading from the remote repo of Maven. And once they gets downloaded, you will see a .m2 folder which contains all those dependencies. Suppose you are using Selenium 4.9 or 4.8 version, and you have created dependency in pom.xml. So once you update your project, what Maven will do, it will start identifying or start calculating or downloading that particular dependency from their remote repo, and it will save into the your local repository within .m2 folder. And if you have changed this dependency version from 4.8 to 3.1, then same thing will happen again. It will again download and save it to your local. So this is how Maven used to download things. And if your internet is not working and you are unable to download, then you need to explicitly download the jar and add it to the build path. So this is all about it. I have created one more video for that purpose, Publicis Sapient interview. So this is the actual interview question that's been asked, so you can refer that for second round. So many things are there, and if you have anything or any comment, you can leave your comment in the video itself or the page itself. I will share the the path of this URL, so that you can download, or if you want to save anything, you can right click like save this thing to your local, so that you will have all those test cases. So this is all about it. And if you find it interesting, just stay tuned to this channel. And thank you very much for everything. Thank you guys.